All right, thank you guys. We're coming off an incredible 5-0 day on my Patreon website yesterday. And of course, that's a site that I operate that gives you premium daily sports picks beginning at just $1.99 through the end of the month. And because we went a perfect 5-0 yesterday, that's going to improve our daily best play package record to 7-2 in our last 9. And we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But before we go ahead and move on, let's take a look at some Russian Liga Pro table tennis action. And we're going to start with Andrei Babkin squaring off against Andrei Sadkov in a 5:30 p.m. Eastern showdown. Sadkov is the massive $3 favorite. Babkin's plus 225 on the money line. And speaking of Babkin, he's currently in the middle of a 2-game skid where he lost 3-1 in both of those matches. He lost to the likes of Vlad Zolyabin twice during that skid. Andrei's also dropped 4 out of his last 6 as well, including an embarrassing 3-0 shutout defeat. Meanwhile, Sadkov on the other side, little bit different story, as he's currently in the middle of a 2-match win streak himself, including a 3-0 shutout win during that span. Both of those matches were victories against Ivan Pander. Sadkov's also been victorious in 5 out of his last 7, including a hard-fought 3-2 victory over Andrei Babkin during that span. He also beat Sergei Kuzmin 3-2 during that stretch as well. Looks like a pretty good spot for Sadkov backers here. Give me Andrei Sadkov getting the job done for some very pricey moneyline cash. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take another quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Got some lines of personal leads out for Friday's Russian Liga Pro table tennis action. Happy Friday to you. Hopefully you had a good week. The weekend is finally here. Now before we go ahead and move on with the program, I just want to quickly remind you once again to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage, where once again we're currently coming off a perfect 5-0 day across the board on that website. We're also 7-2 straight up in our last 9 daily best play tier package plays as well. Very good package for us right now. We do daily premium sports picks on that website, beginning at just $1.99 through the end of the month. We'll bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. We also have a bunch of different memberships, tiers, and packages that you can subscribe to. Currently, we have well over 675 members signed up and active on that page. Now, you might be wondering, why would all those folks sign up to receive Patreon picks where they can get them right here for free on YouTube? And that's certainly a great point, a great concern. But there is a big problem with me handicapping every single game that's on the board, side and total. And the problem is this. If you were to go ahead and bet every single game on the board that I put out here on YouTube, side and total, you're pretty much guaranteeing yourself failure. And I know that sounds crazy, I know that sounds odd, but just hear me out. If you're going to go ahead and bet every single game that's on the slate with your hard-earned money, it's certainly not a winning formula for success. And as a matter of fact, it's a recipe for disaster. The books are way too smart, they're way too sharp. They certainly have a whole lot more money than you and I do combined to be able to absorb that kind of action. And most important, the math becomes aggressively against you the more and more games you play like that. So what I do on Patreon is I make life a lot easier for you. I break it down and focus in on just 3 to 4 premium selections per day, sometimes 5. Rarely is it 5, but sometimes 5 like yesterday where we won all of them. But anyway, there are high percentage picks, games that I personally have action on. And I'll tell you this much, my current Patreon record is a whole lot better than it is here on YouTube, handicapping every single game that's on the board, side and total. And the good news is this. If you want to go ahead and check out my current Patreon record, you can actually do that for free right now. It's located right on the homepage. All you have to do is click the link in the description section below. I'll also include a link in the comment section below as well. And once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive back into some more free lines and personal leans right here on YouTube. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck we have Vitaly Vasilevsky taking on Oleg Nikiforov, 6 p.m. start time. Oleg's been victorious in 2 out of his last 3, including an impressive 3-0 shutout at the expense of Vitaly Vasilevsky during that stretch. Oleg's also been victorious in 5 out of his last 7 matches as well, including wins over the likes of Arudinin and Matveev during that span. Oleg's also had he's had very good success over Vitaly Vasilevsky as of late, going a perfect 3-0 straight up in their last 3 head-to-head meetings, including 2 shutouts. And speaking of Vitaly, he's really struggled as of late, losing his last 5 straight matches, and also being shut out in 3 out of those 5. Vitaly lost to the likes of Arudinin, Nikiforov, and Matveev during that stretch. Even worse, Vitaly's dropped 6 out of his last 7 matchups as well. Not a great spot for Vasilevsky backers, in my opinion here. Give me Oleg Nikiforov winning this one outright for some moneyline cash. Next contest, Andrei Sadkov squaring off against Ivan Pander, 6 p.m. Eastern start time. Pander's been awful as of late, losing his last 5 straight matches, while also being shut out in 4 out of those 5. Ivan was shut out by Kuzmin 3 times, and Babkin once during that stretch. Even worse, Pander's dropped 7 out of his last 8 as well, including a tough 3-2 defeat at the hands of Vlad Zulyapin. Meanwhile, Sadkov on the other side, little bit different story as he's currently in the middle of a 2-match win streak himself, including a 3-0 shutout win during that span. Both of those matches were victories against Ivan Pander. Sadkov's also been victorious in 5 out of his last 7, including a hard-fought 3-2 victory over Andrei Babkin during that span. He also beat Sergei Kuzmin 3-2 during that stretch as well. This, in particular, looks like a very nice spot for Sadkov backers here. Give me Andrei Sadkov winning this one outright in a blowout. Next contest, it is going to be Georgie Vladimirovich Vaknin taking on Vadim Croakin in a 6 p.m. showdown. Croakin lost his last 4 straight, including a 3-1 drubbing at the hands of Georgie Vaknin. Croakin's also lost to the likes of Danila Andreev and Vlad Shirokin during that stretch. Croakin's also been victorious in just 2 out of his last 7 as well. Meanwhile, Georgie on the other side, well, he's won 2 out of his last 4 himself, including victories over Danny Andreev and Vad Croakin during that stretch. Both of those victories were won by the final of 3-1. Should be a pretty tight matchup here, although I am going to give the slight edge to Georgie in this spot. Give me Georgie Vladimirovich Vaknin getting the job done in a close one. Next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Andrei Kirilenko squaring off against Arti Arudinin in a 6:30 p.m. contest. Kirilenko's the -115 underdog in this matchup here. Arudinin is laying $1.25. Arti's lost 2 out of his last 3, including losses to Matveev and Nikiforov during that span. Even worse, Arti's dropped 5 out of his last 7 matches as well, including 2 shutout defeats during that stretch. Arti was shut out by a struggling Vitaly Vasilevsky and Igor Matveev. Doesn't look like too good of a spot here for Arudinin backers. Pretty good price point for Kirilenko taking on a struggling Arti. Give me the underdog, Andrei Kirilenko, -$1.15, getting the job done for some moneyline cash. All right, next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Vlad Petrov facing off against Danila Andreev in a 6:30 p.m. battle. Andreev's lost 4 out of his last 6, including an embarrassing shutout loss to the likes of Vlad Shirokov. Danny also lost to Georgie Vaknin and Vlad Petrov during that span. And speaking of Petrov, he's been victorious in 2 out of his last 3 himself, with victories over Shirokov and Vaknin during those contests. Looks like a decent spot for Petrov, although this match could end up a lot closer than people think. With all that said and done, give me Vlad Petrov winning this one straight up in a close one. All right, next and final matchup for the show, it is going to be Vlad Zulyapin taking on Andrei Babkin in a 6:30 p.m. meet and greet. And speaking of Babkin, he's currently in the middle of a 2-game skid where he lost 3-1 in both of those matches. He lost to the likes of Vlad Zulyapin twice during that skid. Andrei's also dropped 4 out of his last 6 as well, including an embarrassing 3-0 shutout defeat. Now Zulyapin on the other side, he's the hottest player in table tennis right now, currently on an 8-match win streak, including a 3-0 shutout at the expense of Andrei Babkin. Matter of fact, Zulyevin's been absolutely dominant over Babkin as of late, going 4-0 straight up in their last 4 head-to-head matchups. Vlad's also garnered himself marquee wins over the likes of Kuzmin and Pander during that stretch. It looks like a real nice spot for Vlad backers here. So with all that said and done, give me Vlad Zulyevin getting the job done for some moneyline cash. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some shout-outs. Once again, brought to you by patreon.com/Brock Page, where we went 5-0 yesterday in our premium selections on that website. Shout out to Chemo136, Brandon Saunders, Jeremy Wesley, Shrestha Gupta, Joseph Moylan, Bill McMahon, Tanner Ivy, Kyle McGrath, Billy Boogaloo, Armando Garcia. Shout out to Going Crazy, Naeem Kukoser, Mark Jones, Goodnight Munchie, the Sauce Sensei, Master Drip Lord from South Philly, and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to my man, Marcus Rhymecans. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/Brock Page.